Again, very warm welcome to everyone who's joining this from their country. My name is Picha Emon, and I am from Thailand. I have been working at ITC for the last 15 years. I'm now based in Geneva, Switzerland, and today I will walk you through a 90-minute session on how to use ITC's market analysis tools to conduct preliminary export research. Okay, we're going to be discussing 3 tools in total: trade map, market access map, and export potential map. Please feel free to submit your question in the chat box. I'll be going through them periodically and answer to your questions. So, we still have people flowing in. That's amazing, but we have to start the PowerPoint presentation, of course. Let's start. First things first, let's discuss about what ITC does. So basically, we are an organization who work with small businesses in order to help them internationalize or scale up their business internationally. So in particular, in my particular section, we work specifically on trade and market intelligence, which is one of the core services of ITC from the beginning of time. So ITC has been in the business over the last 61 years. So we have expertise in managing and disseminating trade and market intelligence. Especially we started off with trade map in the 2000. So trade map is basically a little older than 25 years old now. And because we started with trade map and we move on to different types of trade data, we also managed to do other things beyond trade statistics. So of course, you know us very well for the ITC's market analysis tool, but we are able to do other things such as the regional platform, the African Trade Observatory, the Euromed Trade Help Desk, the Global Trade Help Desk, and for other regions, for example, the Eastern Partnership portal. We also do other research, such as the value chain diagnostic, as we did for Africa. We have identified 5 potential value chain that could integrate different components from different countries in Africa, for example. So we are able to do different things based on the data that we have collected over time, and thanks to the expertise that we have acquired over the years. So let's zoom in a little bit on what we'll be discussing today. We'll be discussing 3 tools in total: trade map, market access map, export potential map. So most of you will be familiar with ITC's market analysis tools because this webinar is in direct response to the respondent of our annual survey who signed up to this particular webinar. They said they would like to be trained on ITC's market analysis tool, and that's why we're here conducting the 90 minutes webinar. For our other tools, because we have expanded to other areas of trade as well, you will find them at marketanalysis@intercent.org. And also, I would like to showcase other tools and portal that we have developed over time. The first one is the rules of origin facilitator. So if you're trading under preferential trade agreements, you will be aware that your product has to conform with the rules of origin and you have to provide certificate of origin. We have a specific tool that discuss about this. It allows you to compare different preferential access condition under different trade agreements, because over time we're a part of different and new trade agreements, and you will be able to see different criteria that you are required to comply and choose the best one for you. Then of course we have Global Trade Help Desk, African Trade Observatory, and other tools, but this is just some of the example that I'm showcasing today. So let's move on. Here what we have is the outline of what we're planning to do today, as well as the objective that we're trying to reach during this 90-minute session. First of all, I'll be introducing ITC and TM and Trade and Market Intelligence section. We already did that, so that's amazing. We decided to go very fast. We want to spend as much time as possible on the tools. And then we're going to do a quick catch up on the main underlying concept, because it's very important that these concepts are well understood and everybody's on the same page before we do the live demonstration, where we go through each of the three tools and provide you analysis on the spot on how they can be collectively used to conduct preliminary market research. Of course, I'll be going through the chat box as well before the end of the session. Then objective is really to increase your knowledge on international trade and the distinct roles of each tool in market and research. Then we will reinforce the knowledge on how the tools can be used collectively. And this is very important, because I feel that you start with trade map, then you move on to market access map, but you can also use export potential map to complement your strategic decisions. We still have people flowing in, so I'm very happy that you guys managed to join me here today. Very warm welcome to everyone again. So the first tool is TradeMap. You're aware about it. It's World Wide Web, trademap.org. And this is how it looked like. This is an online user-friendly application to analyze international trade flow based on one of the largest trade flow databases in the world. In TradeMap, you will be able to answer the following question. For example, the level of global market demand, a total global demand in terms of value as well as volume. Then you will know about what is the fastest growing market in the world, thanks to our trade indicators, because it's not enough that we just provide you the data that we have collected. We also provide you useful trade indicators so that you are able to benchmark between your country and other countries, and also at the world's level. So we make sense out of all the data. We turn just the normal data into something that can really drive your strategic decision. You can also ask about who are the main importing and exporting country, and then which company. We can actually go into that level. We'll be able to see the company contact information. We'll be discussing this later. Then also, what is the most interesting market for my product? So overall, the objective of TradeMap specifically to this session is about selection of an attractive market for your product. Let's continue. Just a little background about TradeMap and its key characteristics. So TradeMap has the data from over 200 countries and territory. So you're saying, Sam, but there's only around 193 countries around the world. Why do you have data from 220 countries? This is because we're counting custom territories as well. For example, China, you'll be able to see China mainland data, China Hong Kong data, and also China Macau data. So we're counting custom territories. Then we're covering all internationally traded products. So if you look around at any product, there is something that is dedicated to it. It's called the harmonized system code. It's numerical code. We'll discuss about this later, but you can be assured that our tool covers all the internationally traded product. I will be using one specific example to do the live demonstration, but don't be discouraged, because if you know how to use the tools, you'll be able to go online and conduct exactly the same analysis for the product of your interest. We also have the data at national tariff line level, and this covers up to 10,000 products. Our data source, we work with national authorities. For example, Tanzania, we work with National Bureau of Statistics. For Eswatini, we work with the Eswatini Revenues Bureau. And in different countries, we work with the national authority to secure the latest trade statistics. Okay. As you can see here, and if you follow us online on social media, we have announced that we already have trade statistics for 2024 for 42 countries. So as you can see in the screen capture, we already have the latest monthly trade statistic that we have in TradeMap. You will have December 2024. All you have to do is select the monthly trade statistic or yearly trade statistic instead of trade indicators. And then what will happen around April, May is that we will update the trade indicators. During this particular live demonstration, you will still see trade map with the trade indicators from 2023, but that will be changed in the coming months. So the heart of this particular slide is to tell you that whenever we receive trade statistics from a country, what we do is that we update them into the system. So data is consistently updated. Of course, we don't have the trade statistic for all country, but for those who reported the data, we have over 180 countries. We are able to use what's called the mirror statistic to complement the missing trade statistic. What do you mean? You ask, Sam, what do you mean? What about mirror statistics? It's very simple. If you would just look at this particular graph, you will see that, for example, Tanzania is a reporting country. So we have the direct data from Tanzania, and the number will be in dark blue in trade map. However, for countries like Vietnam that doesn't report the trade statistics, we can still use the mirror statistics. So basically, we use the data that is reported by its partner country to reflect the trade statistics of Vietnam. However, it will be impossible to reflect trade between two non-reporting countries. Just like in the example that we see here, it's not possible to see the trade between Vietnam and Bangladesh since both countries are non-reporting country. But of course, if Vietnam trade with Australia, for example, we'll be able to use Australia reported trade statistic to reflect Bangladesh trade statistic. So the heart of this slide is to tell you that for countries that we do not have data, we have what's called mirror statistics, and it will be in yellow color. We still have people flowing in, so thank you very much for your patience, and again, extending the warm welcome to everyone. In trade map is color coded. That means that each color means something. Like I mentioned before, dark blue is the reported trade statistic, whereas the color light green or dark green, it will be estimated either by ITC or the UN Statistical Division. Then, of course, colors like purple will be the aggregated data, and yellow will be the mirror statistics. Everything is indicated in a legend at the bottom of the table. I will be able to show this later, but just to preview that you will need to beware of the colors in trade map. Okay, let's continue. So in order to identify attractive markets using trade map, first things first, you need to identify the right HS code for your product. This is extremely important that you find the right HS code with the description that actually covers your product. Then you'll be able to analyze the demand, the dynamism of the market using trade map, and of course, you will also be able to see the preview of the market access condition, such as the average tariffs in a specific market. But of course, I will complement this with the live demonstration of market access map. So let's continue. This is very, very important. I mentioned to you before, it's very important to find the right HS code for your product. Excuse me, and HS stand for the harmonized system. This is the classification that is maintained and managed by the World Customs Organization. Is reviewed and every 5 years. So the latest revision is from 2022. Then I will see. So basically it's numerical code. It will start from 01 to 99. So for example, this one we're currently looking at 09. Okay, chapter 09. This chapter 09 covers coffee, tea, mate, and spices. As you can see here, is a very, very wide variety of different products. However, as soon as you add additional numbers, so for example, instead of 09, it becomes 0901. This is specifically talking about coffee. And at this level, it's called heading. Then 0902, it's about tea. 0905, for example, is about vanilla. There are other codes beyond this, but this is just for the sake of example, so that you see how clearly how much more clear it becomes as soon as you add more numbers to the code. So now we're at HS 4-digit level, the headings level. As you continue to the 6-digit level or the subheading level, we continue with 0901. We add 2 more digits, 11. It becomes 090111, coffee excluding roasted and decaffeinated. Then we continue with 0901, adding 12. It becomes decaffeinated coffee. And 090121, roasted coffee. This is where you can start seeing the characteristic of the product itself and how it's becoming more and more distinguished. If you're exclusively talking about the green bean coffee, not roasted, not decaffeinated, you are talking about HS code 090111. Whereas if your coffee is decaffeinated but not roasted, the code that will be applicable to you is 090112. Then if the coffee is roasted but not decaffeinated, it will be 090121. Of course, this is at the international level. So the most detailed level that you can do research for a different international market, benchmarking, comparing across different market, this is the most detailed level. It's at HS 6-digit level, as you see here. However, we also have the data at the national tariff line level, and this is managed by each country. They add additional number to the original 6-digit code. As you can see here, the original code is 090111. For USA, they add 0015 to distinguish the certified organic Arabica, not decaffeinated, not roasted. So you see here the characteristic that is certified organic, and also it is the Arabica coffee. Okay, then another country would manage their own national tariff line, just like Thailand. 090111 is the international code. Then you add 1000. It will become coffee, excluding roasted and decaffeinated. It will be Arabica coffee, WIB, which stand for the West Indies Bariding. Is the old Dutch term refers to a standard of preparation of coffee, or it will be washed. That means the beans will be washed, and it's a wet process. So already in the code, you can already see the method of treatment of the product. Or Robusta or IB, this is the traditional sun method. So at the national tariff line, you are able to see the method, how the product is treated, and this will be specified by the country itself. Is specified and managed specifically by country when it comes to national tariff line. But don't forget that today we're probably looking at HS 6-digit level only because we're looking at international market. And at one point, if we select the target market, we might look at the national tariff line. Okay, so let's continue. The second tool that we'll be talking about is Market Access Map. It provides you the information on the tariffs and non-tariff measures. These are regulatory requirements. You're required by law to comply to those things or pay for the tariffs in order to access a specific market. Because it's really not enough that we have amazing products to show the world so that we can export. I cannot just simply go to the port and tell them that I have an amazing product and I want to export. That doesn't work like that. So once you have done your analysis through trade map, you will also need to know about the applicable market access condition, be it tariffs or non-tariff measures. This is the same for every single country around the world. So for example, here you see many products from around the world that I use an example. These are the star products from each country around the world. We have the pickle bell pepper from Eswatini. We have furniture from the Philippines. We have mochila bags from Colombia. The chia butter from Ghana. We have coffee from Tanzania, cordyceps from Bhutan, clothing from Nigeria, or handicraft from Rwanda. All these products, if they need to access a market, they need to comply to market regulations. That's why it's very important to know it before you start exporting, to know it to prepare for your market entries. Because if you don't know it, it could become very costly and in terms of both money and time for you. Okay. And then this is the characteristic of market access map. We cover all countries around the world. We provide the data coverage for different instruments. We have different tariff regimes, trade agreements, non-tariff measures, phytosanitary measures, technical measures. Whatever you need to know is available in market access map. Okay, the data source, we collect it ourselves. We also work with other international organizations like African Development Bank, UNCTAD, to cover the non-tariff measures in different countries. We divide the work and conquer together. Now, to put it simply, market access map cover both tariffs and other market access conditions. All these instruments are covered by market access map. We'll see it online together. Specifically, I would like to zoom in on non-tariff measures. These are the policy measures other than ordinary custom tariffs. They could potentially have an economic effect on international trade in goods, changing quantity traded, prices, or both. It's a regulatory requirement. It has a wide variety, could be technical and non-technical. But most importantly, when we refer to non-tariff measure, it's a neutral terms. It's not supposed to design to obstruct trade, but rather to safeguard human life, the environment, and the quality of the product. Okay? So everybody's clear on that. The third tool we'll be talking about the export potential map. So basically, you will see here in the coming slides here that we provide the trade flow from trade map, and we take the tariffs and market access data from market access map. We put it in economic model, and we are able to estimate the export potential trade in the 5 years time. So right now, the data that we have is up to 2029. So you can see, for example, if you're from China, you're able to see what in which product and in which market your export potential lies, and also how much of those export potential is unrealized. So how much of additional export you can realize. This is possible through export potential map. We also consider other variables such as land endowment, sea access, distances, price elasticity, projected GDP, and population in order to make our results as rounded as possible. Okay, so let's go back a little bit by one slide just to talk about characteristic. Not all internationally traded products are available in export potential map. So for example, we have the product on our excluded list. This will be products that are considered hazardous to the environment, also hazardous to human health. For example, you will not find tobacco. This is just another product that we do not have in export potential map. We will not include product that cannot be produced cannot be reproduced. Basically, for example, antiquities. This is not something that you can produce more in the future in order to realize export potential. So this is the product that's removed. Extractive industry, that is basically managed by big enterprises. This is not something that SME could be involved. So we also remove that those particular product. It's widely used by trade advisors, policymakers, and also company. Okay, so let's have a look. First of all, when I go on trade map, I'm going to look at the country perspective. I'm going to use Egypt as an example. We're going to be looking at Egypt export performance by country and by product. This is just to let you know that if you don't have a specific product in mind, you can also look at the country perspective. But most importantly, we will be continuing to the product perspective. We'll be doing the live demonstration for sambal, which is food preparation. Is a sauce, it's a condiment from Indonesia that is exported worldwide. We'll be looking at that. So if you are exporting sauces or condiments, this is exactly the same code that you'll be using, which is 210390. Okay. Let me make sure that nobody is left in the meeting rooms. Now I am going to go back to my browser. What you're looking right here is actually trade map. So before I go to trade map, I would like to have a look at the chat box just to make sure that I see everyone. Yes, of course. So basically, you can ask questions, just submit it through the chat box. And good morning, good evening, everyone from Indonesia, from Malaysia, from India. Okay, I see that we're very well represented. Uganda, Nigeria, Kenya. Thank you for all the greetings. Lovely to hear from you guys. Libya, Iran, Cambodia, South Africa. Also, okay, so I have the first question that I see here, why few countries are reporting and non-reporting, how it helps the government. So most of the country are reporting country because normally you're obliged to submit your trade statistics to UN Statistical Division. I would say that on a very good year, we will get immediately around 97% of world trade by direct trade statistics. But we have to understand that in some country, there's a delay. There's a shortage in terms of human resources, expertise, etc. So that's why they produce the trade statistic a little slower than other countries, but they do provide it. Maybe they're a little bit slower by a year, so that's why we immediately would do mirror statistics so that they are not they are not, let's say, missing from the list. But some country over the years, they simply cannot manage to send the trade statistics. So that's why we use mirror statistic. The good thing about mirror statistic is that it still provides you a snapshot about the performance, even though it's not 100% correct, because there will be something missing. And like I said, non-reporting, trading with non-reporting, you will not see it. But having something is better than nothing. Hello from Botswana, Gaborone, Zambia, Ethiopia, and China. Amazing. Madagascar. So we very, very well represented, and I'm so happy to have everyone here. I hope we can learn together. And even though your country was not mentioned during this session, please forgive me. It's a very short session, and I try to diversify my examples as much as possible. Can we predict potential trade if tariffs increase and no country retaliate? What about the data if some country retaliates? So this will go into the model that we have discussed before, but you must consider the current situation where tariffs change every day. You must be aware that the situation is not stable. But if something is published, we will try to integrate it. Okay. And of course, there will be revision and revision and revision again in the coming months, just because the situation is changing very rapidly from one day to another. So the export potential will change based on the change in the market access condition. Okay. I will not be sharing the presentation per se, but you will receive a link to the video on YouTube that you can watch. Abuja, Nigeria, Sri Lanka. Okay, we also, does ITC provide gender disaggregated data? No, unfortunately, we don't have data at that level yet. In terms of gender data, I can look into it, Brandon. If you would just send us an email at marketanalysis@introsen.org, we can look into it, because we do have a team in ITC called She Trades, and they have produced a report for the trade, with the gender dimension. So that would be interesting for you. Does ITC provide data on input and output supply country for key agro product in West African value chain? This would be amazing for the Wacom Trade Observatory. Again, write us. Please do write us, and we'll point you in the right direction. We have established West African Trade Observatory last year, and this is a specific observatory that look into the potential value chain in West African countries. So yes, good morning from Ireland. Eswatini. I was just in Eswatini, beautiful country. Um, how can you explain why from time to time there are discrepancy between UN Comtrade data and trade map data? So UN Comtrade data, we take annual trade statistics from UN Comtrade, but monthly, quarterly trade statistic, this we get from the national authorities. Okay, so they might not line up perfectly. And there's also, when you look in trade map, when it's light green, is estimated by UNSD, which is statistical division. Whereas if it's darkly green, it's estimated by ITC. So it might not line up perfectly, but it's really going into the same direction. Abdul asked how trade amount is calculated in USD when countries have different exchange rates. So we link it up to a specific website that do the exchange rate calculation for us. But basically in trade map, you will also be able to see different currencies in there as well. And you might be able to see the original currency reported by the country. So you have to look into that. Okay. Let's see. Amazing. Alan also asked again, let's say we want to find the largest importing company. You will not find the largest importing company. I will talk about this later in the company contact module, but it has nothing to do with how large is the company. It's just company contact information. Okay, so I'm going to continue now. I'm going to stop with the chat box for now, but let's have a look at trade map as we plan to. We are quite on time. So first things first, you remember I told you that we'll be looking at country export performance, and the country that we have selected is Egypt. So this is the home page of trade map. And what will happen is that first you will select the export or import direction, which trade flow direction you select. I would like to see the export of Egypt. So I'm going to select export. And then in terms of product, this is the product combo box. If you leave it blank, it will consider all product. And then the next box is the country combo box. You can just type in the name of the country. I see here Egypt already. It popped up. And the next thing you know, you simply have to click. Oh, I think my screen sharing is paused. This is true? screen. So I'm going to continue because I think we're here. I think we can see the screen now. Okay, I think we can see the screen now. I am going to just say again what I just mentioned before. We're going to look at the country perspective, and this is the home page. First, you select the trade flow direction. I selected export. Then this is the product combo box. You can leave it blank. It will consider all product, or you can just click total all product. Then in terms of country combo box, you type in the country's name, select it. Now, we're going to click on trade indicators because we want to see the export performance. We want to see the export performance here. And what's important is to always read the title of the table. We're looking at the list of importing markets for the product exported by Egypt. So all product exported by Egypt. What you're looking at is Egypt's biggest trading partner, and it's being sorted by value exported in 2023. It's being sorted, and therefore the title is in yellow. You see here that Turkey is Egypt's biggest trading partner, and the number that you see here is actually in USD thousands. So whenever you see value in trade map, you need to add 3 more zeros. So for example, we see here that in 2023, Egypt exported 42 billion US dollars worth of goods to countries around the world. This is not 42 million dollars. When you add 3 more zeros, it becomes billion US dollars. And the biggest trading partner, Egypt, exported 3.7 billion US dollars to Turkey, followed by Italy, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, United States, and Libya. Now, as you can see here, this is by country. So by Egypt's trading partner, you see that overall Egypt export growth in 2019 to 2023 is at negative 19. Sorry, my apology, positive 13%. So this is growth in export value between 5 years. And the next one is between 2 years, 2022, 2023. You will see that there's a clear fluctuation between 5 years and 2 years that warrant further investigation in terms of the time series. We can look at the trade in time series simply by switching from trade indicator to yearly time series, for example. We will see that with which trading partner the trade seem to drop significantly. We can look at it in graph. And if you have a look at that, in 20, let's say one of the things that you will always see in the trend indicators over the last 5 years is the COVID year. So that's a clear, decrease in the demand, etc. And then what we see here is exactly just that. In 2020, there's a dip in the demand, then the demand continued to rise. But in some partners, for example, this one, I think is the United States, there also decrease in the export as well in 2022, and this continue in 2023. You will see this is the trend in between 2022, 2023. Turkey, Italy, US. Exports to third country has been declining between 22 and 23. So in trade map, you will always see table and graphs. Sometimes it's easier to see the data in the graphical output. And what we look here at the beginning, we look at the trading partners of Egypt. So we know who are Egypt's biggest trading partners. But now we're going to look at by product. What products that Egypt export? We can look at chapter, you remember, at 2-digit, heading, subheading. So I'm going to look at almost the most detailed level, which is the 6-digit level. And you will be able to see, I can continue in time series, or I can go back to trade indicators where there are useful trade indicators for you to look at. Why is it useful? This is, for example, let's have a look at fresh or dry orange, okay? In 2023, Egypt exported 798 million US dollars worth of fresh or dry oranges, okay? As you can see here, the number is in black. That means Egypt is a net exporter. It exports more than it imports, so that's why the trade balance is positive. Then you see that Egypt export growth over the last 5 years for this product is 5%. Okay. Yes, it's a positive growth. However, Egypt's average is 13. So we'll say that even though it's a positive growth, it is not growing as fast as the other exports. Then you continue to look at the annual growth over the last 2 years, you see that the average is negative 19%. We discussed this before, that exports seem to have dipped for 3 main trading partners. So the average is negative 19, but orange, fresh and dry orange export continue to grow strong and even grow stronger over the last 2 years than the last 5 years when you compare 13 with 15. Then you can compare the annual growth of the world's import. For this particular product, the growth in import of the world is 2%, but Egypt growth rate is 13. So that means Egypt has enjoyed a significant increase and growth in this particular export, which is the fresh or dry oranges. You can do this kind of analysis. And another thing I will show you is how it's seen in graph. And when you click on graph, you see that the graph has been divided into 4 quarters. And this is based loosely on the Boston Consulting Group metrics. You can see here that there's a loser in growing sector, winners in growing sector, winners in declining sectors, and losers in declining sector. These allow Egyptian policymakers to see in which product they could provide more assistance or more trade promotion. For example, they might choose to promote a product that is located in this quadrant because they are currently losers in growing sector and they want to accelerate that export to meet the world demand. And they could also invest in the winners in growing sector so they can continue to champion that export. Maybe less or even more support could be provided to losers in declining sector. Maybe they will identify the opportunities to move up the value chain, or winners in declining sector. This is the same that maybe moving up the value chain is a possibility in order to not become stagnant over time. So this is just to show you an overview about the export performance of the country, that there are useful graphical output that you can look into. I'm going to go back to home page of TradeMap. I'm going to remove all the criteria, just like fresh start, but this time we'll be looking at the product perspective. I have mentioned before that today, for the sake of example, we're going to take the position of an Indonesian exporter of sambal, which is a prepared sauce from Indonesia. First things first, when I have a product in hand, I would like to know who are all my potential buyers. I want to find new market. I want to find potential new markets in the world, so I'm going to be looking at the global demand. Therefore, I'm going to select trade direction, import. In terms of the product, I can type in the word sources. Not a problem. And the system will automatically filter and show me only the HS code that contain the word sources. But another option is to go to advanced search and type in exactly the same thing, just to make sure that you are able to see the full description in total. But it will also provide you other potential HS code that could mean sources as well, just to be safe and that you read everything. You can type in any keyword, okay? So for example, if you're exporting cocoa, These are all the codes that contain the word cocoa, and you need to make sure that you choose the right one. Are you talking about cocoa bean? Are you talking about cocoa paste? Are you talking about cocoa butter? So you need to read the product description carefully in order to pick the right HS code. And you can do that through advanced search. Let me go back again to the home page, import the product sauces. I take 210390, preparation for sauces and prepare sauce, mixed condiments. In this case, particularly from Indonesia, I'm talking about the sambal. So I am not going to select any country because I would like to see all potential markets. Then I click trade indicators. Once I click trade indicators, I see the list of importers of the selected product, which is the sauces, the prepared condiments. We see that the world's biggest market is the United States, but the total global demand of this particular product is very high. It's 14 billion US dollars. The world's biggest market is the United States of America. In 2023, it imported 1.8 billion US dollars worth of prepared sauces, condiment. This is followed by United Kingdom, France, Canada, Germany, Netherlands, Hong Kong, China, Australia, Mexico, etc. Now, the next column, and is the column that is currently sorted here, is the value imported. We have United States, as I mentioned, 1.8 billion US dollars. The number is in red and negative. This is because United States imports this product more than it exports. I mentioned to you before that the color actually have the legend at the bottom. You see here, the dark green is estimated by ITC and the light green is estimated by UNSD. So this is because sometimes they don't provide the quantity, so we have to do the estimation based on historical data. But what happened is that in this particular column called the unit value is a simple math of the value here divided by volume here. Then you get the unit value, which is average across different types of packaging. It could be in bulk, in liter. It could be the sauces in liters, or it could be a sauce in a glass bottle ready for consumption. So, so therefore, when you look at the unit value, is really not the price of the product per unit. This is not the price that if you go to the port, yes, I want to buy this for the 2,709 US dollars, 1 ton of the sauces. It will not be that price. This is just the average. And why do we do that? When we do something, it's also because it's useful. It allows you to look at different market and benchmark. You see here that United States unit value is lower than that of United Kingdom, lower than France, and lower than Canada. Maybe they have a preference for the product to be sold in bulk. Therefore, the average unit value is lower. Maybe in those markets such as Germany, Canada, or France, actually preferred product in smaller bottle, ready for consumption and ready for retailing. This is also a possibility. You can assume many things, but allow trade map to be the starting point of your search. You will not find qualitative data in trade map. You will not find qualitative data. You will find quantitative data. You will need to research the qualitative data yourself to learn more about the market. What we can tell you now is facts and figures that you can use because to use as your preliminary decision. Okay. Now let's continue. We see that the world's average growth in value over the last 5 years of import of this product is 10%. United States is 14%. This means that United States is a market that is growing faster than the world's average. Yes, the world's average is growing at 10%, but the United States is 14%, so it's growing even faster. It shows very promising sign for United States. United Kingdom, if we look at it, is 7%. So the world's average is 10. United Kingdom is 7. It is a growing market. It's growing at 7%, but it's not growing as fast as the world. One would even call it a little bit stagnant if it's not growing as fast as the world average growth rate. Then we'd have a look at France, also 14%, Canada 10%, at the world's average, Germany 12, Netherlands 8, Hong Kong, China 19. Could be an interesting country for you. This one, Hong Kong, China 19, because it grows very much. The product is very in demand. You can also see the growth in quantity. So the growth in quantity is 4%. Then United States growth in quantity is 7. So it's also in terms of quantity grow faster than the world's average. United Kingdom slower than the world's average. And then what we need to investigate is the relationship between annual growth in value and annual growth in quantity. When the growth in the ideal world, it will grow consistently like this. It will grow at the same rate, right? However, what we see here, the phenomenon is that the value is growing at 10%. The quantity is growing at 4. What we can assume right now is that over the last 5 years, the average unit value of the product has been increasing. That's why the value is growing faster than quantity. Okay? And of course, this is the phenomenon that can happen and left for you to investigate. And if it's the other way around, meaning the growth in value is lower, but the growth in quantity is higher, you can assume that over the last 5 years, the average unit value price has been decreasing. That's why you can get more product with less money. Okay, so let's have a look at other trade indicators. We look at the annual growth in value over the last 2 years. Why do we do this? We compare this 2-year with 5 years and to see whether or not the growth has been consistent. Okay? If it fluctuates a lot, like I see here with Hong Kong over 5 years, 19%, but over 2 years, a -6. -6. So that means that actually there's a fluctuation that worth further investigating before you make the decision. This is the same thing for Japan. Growth positive 3% and then negative 7% over the last 2 years. It's worth looking into that. We look at the share in the world's import, which is basically the US with the 13% share, followed by UK, France, etc. Average distance, the trade indicator average distance seeks to tell you that on average, that country buy from its neighboring country within the region, or it buys from country that is relatively far away from them. So they buy from it internationally. Okay. So for example, you will see that the US, the average source, the travel to the US is around 5,900 kilometers. So you can look at the US and see who is within the radius of 5,900 kilometers. You will see Mexico, you will see Puerto Rico, you will see Canada. So they are used to buying, sourcing from those markets. But it does not say does not mean that you cannot export to the US. It simply means that they're used to buying from those countries. And if you want to sell to them, like I'm from Indonesia in this example, I would need to make sure that my preposition has a distinctive characteristic and value that they buy from me, not just because I'm closer to them. Because if you compare distance, yes, I am that at the disadvantage, but I will formulate my entry, my strategy based on the value preposition. So this, when TradeMap tell you something, it's really to allow you to be better prepared. It does not mean that, oh no, you are outside 5,900 kilometers. You will not be good. You cannot sell to that market. It's absolutely not that. And it's the same with France. On average, they buy from 1,331 kilometers from them. For me, this looked like something that when they normally buy, they would buy it from the trading hub, like the Netherlands. Okay, it's intra-European trade. So it does not mean that I cannot export to France. It just means that maybe I need to enter into the trading hubs like the Netherlands first in order to reach the right distributor who can distribute it through their network. So it could be that strategy as well. And in terms of concentration of supplying country, it shows you how tight is the space in that particular market. And the rule of thumb is 0.18. If it's high, if it's one, it means that the market has monopoly. It's currently being supplied by only one country. But when the value is less than 0.18, it means that that market enjoys a very diversified group of suppliers. They are used to buying from different suppliers, and it's not just one country dominating the market. As you can see here, United States, the average, the concentration of supplying country is 0.13. It means that they are used to buying from different countries around the world. More so for United Kingdom and also for France. But if you look at Canada, 0.19, this is very concentrated. It just showed that Canada is used to buying its neighboring country. That does not stop you from entering Canadian market. It simply means that you need to work harder and find the right strategy to penetrate the market. So based on this particular table, I have selected Netherlands as potential target market because I see that it's a good entry into the European Union market. I would like to find the right importer who can distribute my product in its network. So I'm going to zoom in on Netherlands. And what is interesting about the Netherlands, and it confirms my belief that it's the distributor, is the fact that its trade balance is positive. It's not a net importer. Netherlands also export, and it export more than it imports. That's why it's a positive number. So I'm going to go with the Netherlands for my prepared sauce. Once I click on the country's name, I will be able to see the list of supplying markets for the product that we are talking about, the sauces, by Netherlands. These are all the country that Netherlands is buying, importing the sauces from. The biggest supplier is Germany, Belgium, Italy, Thailand, United Kingdom, China, etc. Let me have a look if Indonesia is among the top 25. I currently do not see it, but what I can do is that I can expand the number of rows to 100, and hopefully I will be able to see Indonesia here. Let's have a look. Indonesia is right here. In 2023, Netherlands imported 800,000 US dollars worth of this particular product sauces from Indonesia. Okay? And we can have a look at the growth rate here. The average growth rate that it import is 8%. It import from Indonesia at 4%. Let's have a look again for Indonesia. Yeah, 4%. So that means, yes, the import from Indonesia is growing. It's growing at 4%, but it's not growing as fast as how much Netherlands is importing. This is where I think as an exporter from Indonesia, they could do better by promoting the particular product in the Dutch market. You can have a look at the landscape, the level of competition that is quite fierce. You see that is mainly dominated by other European countries like Belgium with a 12% growth rate, higher than the average of 8%. You also have another competitor from ASEAN market, ASEAN country as well, Thailand, 11%, faster, growing faster than the average of 8%. But also a strong competitor and also a European Union country is Spain with 28% over the last 5 years. Okay. In terms, and then you can go through the trade indicator just like what we did before, one by one by one. Okay. You will see that the landscape is mostly dominated by European Union country, with some exceptions from Asia like Thailand, China, and Japan. Netherlands is obviously very quite used to buying from different countries around the world for this particular product. So it's a market with a myriad of suppliers that we have to compete with. Seems that one of the biggest competitors, of course, from the European Union itself. But like I mentioned in my position for this is that I would like to start exporting to the Netherlands so that I find the right importer and distributor so that they can re-export it to other nations in the EU. What I would do is that I will click on the company contact information, and as one of you has asked, can I see what was the trade volume of that particular company? No, you cannot see it. What we have is company contact information. And company contact information, you will see the contact details, the product that they import, export, distribute, or produce. You'll be able to see that. So now I am going to click here because okay. Another thing that I have to point out is that we source the data from two partners, Compass, Dun& Bradstreet, and these are our data provider. Every year they will check if these companies are still in business. They will check it once. So we will only update it once a year. Okay, so the last update was in 2024. And they will check if this company are still active. All the other information is provided voluntarily by the company. The company signed up with either Dun& Bradstreet or Compass, and they will appear on TradeMap. It's not TradeMap who update this company data. I will click on the condiments and sauces. I will see here. And let's see what kind of information we will get in terms of the company from the Netherlands. Okay, we have the list here, the full list. We have 2 pages as we saw previously. There are 48 companies, and this is not exhaustive. Again, it is these 48 companies that signed up with Compass, declaring themselves that they are importing, exporting, producing, or distributing this product. We're going to click on one of the company that we have here. This is the information we see. We have the website, the phone number, the contact name. They did not provide turnover of number of employees, but what is interesting is here. They mentioned that they are producer, importer, and exporter of sauces and condiment. So this is the right company, and this is potential company that I, an Indonesian exporter, could get in touch with and offer my product. And another thing that we can see here, they have also declared the region or countries partner of the company. So with whom they are trading with. As you can see here, they list the name of the company. They list that they trade with Asia Pacific. They export to Asia Pacific. They import from Asia Pacific. And if we zoom in, we can look for Indonesia, which is our country in this example. Here, Indonesia, they import from Indonesia and they export to Indonesia. So this is a starting point. I'm pointing out to you the starting point. We have seen the trade statistics, we've seen the market size, we've seen the growth dynamism, how concentrated is the market, what is the average distance, and then we decide on a target market. Okay, we decide on a target market and we could potentially get the company contact information. But the next step is to look at market requirements. This is where we will move on to market access map. And this is market access map. First thing you would do is type in the export country. In our case, we're from Indonesia. Our destination market is the Netherlands. It's very simple. You know the code 210390. Sauces, preparation, condiment, click search. And from the homepage of MacMap, you'll be able to see the overview of market access condition. Here, you need to look at the national tariff line because it might determine further what is your product. They will distinguish directly. So this one, okay, it has the monosodium glutamate containing tomato, this one containing tomato, this one containing tomato. And in case of sambal, it's actually other sources. It's not soy sauce, it's not tomato ketchup, it's not tomato sauce because it's made from chili. So it will be this particular national tariff line. Then we see here is the graph that is represented here. You will be able to scroll down later. So what we see here is in terms of custom tariffs, the MFN, which is the tariff that apply to all WTO countries, is 7.70%, whereas the preferential tariff for GSP country, in which we are a part of, Indonesia here, for GSP country is lesser than the WTO tariffs. WTO tariff 0.7, preferential tariff 4.2%. Okay, but in order to receive this kind of preferential tariff, you will need to comply to the rules of origin. You can further investigate the rules of origin for your product. It will specify about how the product is manufactured, from which subheading, etc. And you can fill out the certificate of origin that is readily available here. You click on it, you have to fill it out and get it stamped by your customs or competent authority. Next step beyond the tariffs is the non-tariff measures. We see that we have the non-tariff measures 29 in total, and it's divided into SPS, a little bit of TPT, and other measures such as licensing. But if you look at the SPS, which is sanitary, phytosanitary measures, it also talk about the minimum limit of the residues. For example, what goes into your product. You also have to do the testing for microbiological substances. You will need to send a sample of your product, get it cleared, etc., in order to be able to export that product. It sets a limit for various mycotoxins. So all of these has to be compliant. And as I mentioned before, non-tariff measures are supposed to protect the health of human, environment, etc. But at the same time, it comes with a certain cost for exporter. But it's better for you to know ahead of time, and in order to prepare your business plan accordingly, instead of finding out the last minute after you have already finished the production. You need to plan it accordingly in order to be able to export, because you need to comply to that, not only about the testing of the product to make sure that it's within the tolerance limit, etc., but also labeling requirements. It will be in which language? What needs to be included in the labeling requirements? Expiration date, best before date, ingredient list, nutrition list. For example, this needs to be complied to. And you can see why it is two ways. It's useful, but it's at the same time, it also costs money for exporter. Now I'm going to go to the third tool, which is the export potential map here. The export potential map. So basically, we have discussed before, trade map is the trade statistic up to right now until December 2024. It's a trade that already took place. You can see the trend that already took place. Now we're going to look into the future. We're going to look for 2029 export potential. Again, what we can do is also do it by country. Just like what I mentioned before, Egypt, and immediately it provides you some reading. It's saying unrealized export potential for Egypt by 2029 sits at 30 billion US dollars. And if you want to, next step is whether you want to find out in which product this export potential lie or in which market. You can click on products and it will provide you this kind of chart. You will see that the product with the greatest export potential is urea. Okay? You have the export potential of 3.5, actual export of 2, and then unrealized export potential of 1.7 billion US dollars. This is followed by gold, followed by oranges, etc. And if you have identified a product, you can, of course, identify the potential markets for you. So I'm an Egyptian exporter of orange. I want to find in which markets I have export potential. I can see here that my greatest export potential is in Saudi Arabia. And the key findings will always be available here for you to read. And that's what I really find useful for export potential map, because trade map, it doesn't provide you that. You need to know the tool a little bit in order to do analysis, in order to make assumption. But export potential map, it provides you the reading, the key findings based on the module that you see here. So yes, indeed, you can look at the country export performance within the next 5 year potential, export potential, by type in the country's name, and then you will get this graph that you can further analyze. You can select top 50 product, or you can increase to 100 products, etc., in order to find out more. So that's useful. That's a country perspective. But we're reverting back to the product perspective. We're going to be looking at, again, the sauces. We're exporter of prepared food, prepared sauces from Indonesia. I click in the HS code. I see that for this particular product, there are 9.5 billion US dollars worth of export potential, and explore the market. We want to see whether this is consistent with what we saw in trade map. There's a right immediately it proposed you the geo map. It still have the key findings, but I prefer the gap chart. So I'm going to switch to gap chart. So this is at the world's level. Like I did in trade map, I look at the world's level first. United States is consistent. It was the world's biggest importer in the most recent year, and in looking forward in the future is still the market with the biggest potential, still followed by United Kingdom. The third one, I think it was Germany in trade map, but now is Canada, France, Germany, Netherlands. So one of the market that we selected is here. And then right now, the graph actually covers the top 20 countries from various region. But if you want to look at a specific region, like I am interested in the EU, I can just remove other markets to be able to focus on the EU market. Okay, it's not a problem. We can do that here. EU and West market here. So we look at the market. If we're focusing on the EU itself, the unrealized potential in this region is 3 billion US dollars. Okay, so this is what we see. Why I propose the EU market is because once you conform to the market access condition of one EU country, you can export to any EU countries later on, since it's a custom union. I think you can hit many birds with one stone. Okay, so then what I'm going to do next, instead of world exporter, okay, I am going to go back to Indonesia and look at my own country export of this particular product. So the greatest export potential, read here, the market with the greatest potential for Indonesia export of prepared sauce are United States, Singapore, and Philippines. Singapore obviously is transshipment hub, so it will go somewhere else, just like the Netherlands that we're trying to do. Then United States shows the largest absolute difference between potential and actual export in value term, leaving room to realize additional export worth of 43 million US dollars. Okay, so from what I can see here, I do not see Netherlands in the top 20. But I'm going to include the Netherlands because I want to see what is the export potential in the Netherlands itself. So in the Netherlands, which is our target market based on the data and trade map, the export potential is 2.3 million US dollars. Actual export, like we saw, was 800,000, and there's still unrealized potential of 1.2 million US dollars. So it is still a positive thing, because if your strategy is truly to enter the EU market, Netherlands is a good starting point. And you can see here, and Netherlands as a market itself also hold pretty good export potential for your company. But otherwise, what we see here is that for this particular product, there's so much export potential across different regions around the world, be it Asia, Southeast Asia, Australia, even in Africa. So it's worth looking into it. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at the chat box right now. I have the question from Wolf. Does MacMap include details on regulations such as Orange only tariff from March to September? Yes. If you select the right the right national tariff line code, it will provide you the right tariffs. So because you are absolutely right, Wolf, that in some country for certain product the tariffs vary from the period in which you're importing. So for example, you can think of asparagus. Asparagus, EU, they can produce it in the summer, in early spring, summer. So during this time, the tariff for asparagus will be higher in order to protect the EU producer. And then when in winter that EU cannot produce asparagus, but there's still demand, the tariffs will be lower to import from other countries. So MacMap does have tariff information on this because it's national tariff line. Okay, so why do you use this 1,000 instead of actual full value? Simply, it's very simple. You might think it's silly, but the fact that if we use 3 more zeros, the table will be extremely wide. That's why it's just, in terms of like, make sure that you are able to see as many things as possible within one glance. We decided that values in trade map is in 1,000. However, the volume is not in 1,000, it's a net number, okay? It would be helpful, you mentioned it would be helpful if a link to presentation could be shared. Thank you very much, Henri. Yes, there will be a YouTube video for sure. If you need to leave, thank you for joining. Please feel free to leave. I'm not going to hold you back here further. You will receive the link to the video. Okay, there's a question from Gregory. Is there a part of trade map or export potential map which calculates and display the normalized review comparative advantage for all exporter? No, unfortunately not. We do not have that at this point, but it's very interesting. Ricky, do we have any type of an ease of market access index that show comparative ease? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna show you this, Ricky. So basically, you see here, we see the export potential for Indonesia export of prepared sauce. And if you click on analyze export potential, you will see here, because we have ease of market access, and this is represent ease of trade by the line. Okay, The thicker the line, it means that the easier it is to access that market. And what I mean by ease of access that market is simply based on the preferential trade agreement, whether they have a trade relations with each other, whether they have preferential trade agreements in place, whether they belong to the same economy community. You will see here that the thickest line is for Singapore, and it's even bigger than the Philippines and Malaysia, which is also quite thick, and Thailand. These are all ASEAN countries. So they have thicker line than other countries that, let's say, Indonesia does not have trade agreement with. But the thicker the line, it will show you the easier, the bigger the ease of trade. So this is what's available in export potential map. Let me go through the chat, continue to go through the chat box. It would be appreciated if you provide us with an email address for further questions. So for all question, you can write to marketanalysis@intrasend.org. This is the email address that centralizes all the incoming question, all the incoming question from our user. And this email address is available at the bottom of every single page. Just click on it and compose your question, and we'll answer within 48 hours. This is our average turnaround time for incoming inquiry. So I'm going to go back to other question. We have Gregory already, Wolf, Anna. We have, hello, can we find statistic information for 2024? I will show you exactly how you do it. I told you that we have the trade statistic for 42 countries already. We're gonna go all the way back to home and search, remove all the criteria. We're gonna do this. We want to see the import direction of total product, the latest trade statistics, right? Okay, we're gonna look at yearly time series. This is very important. Make sure you click on yearly time series, and you will see here that we already have statistics for most of the, for 42 countries. Basically, it's not most of the country, but it covers a lot of trade statistics already, up to almost 80%. You have US, China, UK, Japan, France, Hong Kong, China, Korea, Canada, Spain, Switzerland. So you have pretty good data already. This is the data reported by the country to ITC. So you already have 2024 data. Even though the trade statistics for trade indicators, the trade indicators itself will be updated later to 2024. Right now, we're only looking at trade indicator 2023. This will be changed in May or April. We'll see. Let's continue. Hello. From Islam, I would like to inquire why the available data is still from 2023. So I just explained right now. So hopefully that if you're from developing countries, access to all of this is 100% free. To monthly trade statistics, to company contact information, all of this is free. You just need to sign up for an account. Okay. Hannah's asked if there is a trick in trade map that we can recognize trade hubs country, which most re-export are being done. I would say that you will see trade hubs, okay? Let's have a look at the sources again. When the, just like how we recognize Netherlands being the center of import that distribute the product everywhere in Europe, you will see with the positive trade balance here. So they import and then they re-export it, or they also produce it. So transshipment hub, the well-known ones are Netherlands, Singapore, Hong Kong, for example. You will see that from the positive trade balance, but beware, the positive trade balance can also mean that they export a lot, but at the same time, it's a good sure sign of a transshipment hub as well. I have a question from Walid. Can I list my company detail directly in TradeMap? No, unfortunately not. You have to be a part of Compass or Dun& Bradstreet in order to appear in TradeMap. So once you subscribe with them, then we buy the data from those two companies and we update it, and you should appear in our data. Indeed, for Fikri, that the negotiation with the buyer on preferential tariffs, yes, because in most cases it's importer who pay for tariffs, and if you face lower tariffs than other competitors, it's a competitive, it's a higher competitiveness for you. You have free access to everything that we saw here. If you're based in developing countries and the EU countries, you have fully free access to our tools. Okay. Why does the EPM model does not take into account sanction, registration, and geopolitical tension factors? Um, at this point, no. But with the geopolitical, thing that is going on, it will be revised. And because the GDP will be revised by the World Bank, and we take that from the World Bank, so everything will be revised. It just needs time to happen. The recording will be shared. Yes, the recording will be shared. Could you advise why EPM does not include some products in the map at 6-digit levels? Textile and apparel, they are there. They are there. But if your product that you're looking for has been revised, you mean that the HS code has been revised? Maybe you will see something like X, etc. Because they need to consider different revision. Okay, so let's say you're looking for textile and apparel is there. If the product has not been revised, the HS code has not been revised, you will see it directly. But sometimes it's revised and you will see like a different number. So let me show you here, resources, correspondence table. Okay. Correspondence table. I think what she's talking about. Okay. You can see here 0106XC. It is like that because it consider products that have gone through HS code revision. That's why, okay? So your product textile will definitely appear on EPM if you search carefully. Can you please let me present my question in the other? Unfortunately not. If you have any question, please type in the chat box so it's clear for everyone. Yes, I will share the video presentation. You can watch it at your own time. I know it's a lot to take in. It's 90 minutes and I'm cramming 3 tools together, but I hope you'll be able to see that they're collectively used, to do the preliminary market research. You should not go forward without doing the 3 aspects: the current trade, the market access, and the future trade. You really should not go forward. So the website address for okay, it will be in the PowerPoint presentation. I can show you the slide one more time. So what we saw here was trade map. So it's a trademap.org. Very easy. Market access map has a nickname and it's called macmap.org. Then export potential map, export potential dot intercent.org. So these are the 3 tools. Okay. From where we will get the recording? From YouTube. You will be able to watch it on YouTube. Yes. Um, Good afternoon from Mozambique. Okay, great session. Question to Pichia, what does I stand for in the list of importer? I here is the metadata. So it's additional data if you want to learn more about how specific trade indicators are calculated. Okay, so you will be able to click on the metadata here. So it explains, for example, here, what is trade balance? And if you click on the I here, it explains how the unit value is calculated, what are the limitations, etc. Okay. Okay, and then there's a need for regular webinars on the use of ITC tools. We'll try to do that. And actually, we're going to be rolling out a series of webinars so we can talk about other useful tools as well. So, for example, African Trade Observatory for more trade in Africa, West African Competitiveness Observatory to focus on West African regions, etc. So we will be rolling out in the near future. So stay tuned and hope you will come back and join us here as well. Okay, so right now we have completed our 90 minutes. I know you have a lot of questions. I probably did not manage to respond to all your questions. Please feel free to submit your question to marketanalysis@introsen.org. I will be sharing the video, the recording of this webinar with you later on. I'll publish on YouTube. And don't forget that we'll be conducting regular webinar, and hopefully the next one will be thematic so that we don't repeat exactly the same thing about the 3 tools, the different functionality, but rather focus on specific theme, such as how to optimize your supply chain, how to find new market for your product, how to make sure that your product comply to rules of origin, in terms of the textile sector, for example. So we would like to be more specific in the future. Please stay tuned. I am very happy that everybody's here and such an interactive session. I apologize that I did not allow you to unmute yourself, but again, I mean, we are so many of us, and it would be quite challenging to manage everything. Thank you, and I hope that you will continue to use ITC's market analysis tool. Please try to do the survey after when I close the webinar so that I know whether you want more of this type of training and what type of training you would like, so that we'll be able to serve you better. Thank you again, everyone, for your participation. I hope that you have a great week and see you again very, very soon. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.